Hi. Okay. I'm doing another video, even though this one is pretty close to the one that I did not long ago. And the reason why I'm doing this video is just to give you an update, or actually just to let you know something or share a moment that I had, an experience that I had. Well, on Friday, March 15th, I took my car to Mr. Transmissions to check out my transmission because it was doing something funny. And the guy took my car to drive it to see what it was doing. And in him doing that, I get a phone call saying, your car broke down. So I was like, my car broke down? What did he do? Like, why did my car break down? What could he possibly have done to make my car break down? The guy was like, he didn't know. So now when the other guy behind the counter was like, he didn't know what the other guy had done. So now when the other guy who's driving my car gets up there, he's like, I'm so sorry, I rear-ended someone. And I was like, wait, what? Is this a joke? You did what? In my car? It was basically like he rear-ended someone. And I was trying to understand everything, get the logistics, and he told me. But nonetheless, I was very angry. Like, I was so upset because I was like, where's my car? He said it was still at the accident site. They have to get a tow truck to come tow it because they didn't want to cause any damage. It was just so much, and I was just like, for real? How am I getting home? Wait, how am I getting to school? And it was just a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and I really just wanted to scream at people. Like, I think I wanted to fight somebody. I really did. But I tried to remain calm, and eventually, you know, of course they told me they were going to pay for everything, you know, because it was their fault. You know, they offered to take me, you know, to take me home or whatever. So I had the guy who was driving my car take me home. And in riding with him, it was crazy because he was on the phone talking to his wife or his daughter or someone about what happened to him today. And he was just like spazzing out. Like, he was just like, you know, really beating himself up about it. And being the softie that I am, I did feel bad. Like, I felt really bad because I know how it is to mess up on the job, or not even, that was his job. I never messed up on a job, but I know how it is, and I know what it feels like to mess up on a job, especially mess up on something that you feel like you're good at. And to hear him talk, I can tell that, you know, fixing cars and things like that, it's something that he's really passionate about. So I felt really bad, you know, after he got off the phone. He was like, you know, I'm sorry, I don't want you to think I'm crazy or anything. And I was just like, no, you're fine. But when he was talking, I told him, I said, you know, everything happens for a reason, and we may not understand it now, but God lets things happen for a reason. There is nothing that happens in a day that God doesn't allow to happen. And I said that because when he was talking, he was saying to his wife or daughter or someone that he had been trying so hard to stay in the path of Christ, to follow God's word and to do all this stuff. And he was like, every time he strays, every time he just veers off, something bad happens to him. And he's like, you know, I don't know, I keep trying. And, you know, after hearing him say that, it almost sounded like he was discouraged, like kind of sounded like he was just like, oh, what's the point? Like, every little mistake I'm going to make, it's something bad is going to happen. And I let him know. I told him, I said, you know, I basically encouraged him, and I kind of ministered to him a little. And I told him, you know, sometimes God tries to get our attention. And a lot of the times, he just wants you to know that he's present. And however he has to get your attention, he'll get your attention. And I told him, I said, you know, sometimes God just wants us to surrender. And when I said that to him, he was just like, yeah, and that's something that I'm really finding hard to do because I've never been the type of person to back down. Like, I just don't know how to yield. I don't know how to do that. I'm a Marine. And he was just going on about that, and he's a pretty tough guy. And you know, and he was crying. Like, you know, men, they don't really like to cry or show that they're crying, but I could tell that just from his eyes and how he kept squeezing, like he kept, squeezing them, I knew he was crying. And his eyes were all glassy. So it definitely looked like it was really bothering him. And he was just like, I'm so sorry. And I kept telling him, I said, it's okay. And I said, after I told him, I said, sometimes you have to surrender. And I said, inform God of what you're trying to do in your life, because sometimes we get so caught up in planning our own lives and trying to do everything on our own that we don't consult God, and we don't ask Him for help. We don't allow Him to work in us and through us. And that was one of the things that I was telling him. I said, it's easy. Just let God. That's all I can. Let go and let God. And that's what I was telling him. And I said, I know for you, you're not used to submitting, and you're used to basically doing your own thing. I said, but I said, you just gotta pray. You gotta pray and ask God for guidance. I said that's something that everyone has to do. And I said, and He will guide you. He'll direct your path. But I say all of this to say that it did end up being like a ministering tool, not only for him, but in some ways for me. And I say that because later on in the conversation, we ended up talking about YouTube posts, and the YouTube posts were in regards to inspirational things like speeches and just some different inspirational things that people post on YouTube. And he was talking about this man on YouTube who has this this post called "How Bad Do You Want It?" And it's basically talking about how bad do you want to be successful. And it just talks about how you have to be hungry for it. And he was just talking and saying things that he had seen and heard on YouTube, and it really made me start thinking that there was a lot of things that I felt like, I say I want to do all these things. I say I try to be this and I try to be that. But I realized the amount of effort that I put in sometimes is lackluster. And I think it's because if something comes easy for me and I know I don't have to work as hard, but I can pretty much get the result that most people will get, then sometimes I won't work as hard. And with him saying that, it really like opened my eyes, because he made mention to what Lewis. Dang, I cannot think of that man's name. He plays for the Falcons. The NFL champs, the Super Bowl champions. I don't know why I can't think of his name. He's an Omega. He's a bruh. But he made a mention about that guy, something Lewis. And I don't know why I'm having a blank right now. But basically, that football player was saying that, he was basically saying you are the only person that can stop yourself. And he was saying the amount of effort that you put in is what determines the outcome. And that really made me think. Like, I was just like, man, like, I'm always saying I want to be the best doctor. I want to be, I want to help people. I want to do all this stuff. I want to be the most knowledgeable. And I realized that so long as it came easy, I wouldn't really put too much effort in it. And just talking to him, it just made me realize. And I've always I like to say that I strive to be the greatest and I strive to do things, but I will say that since I've accomplished a major goal in my life, which was getting into medical school, that I have become a little lackadaisical. And I don't know if it's because of the time constraints with school and being bogged down with so much work from my main courses, that I kind of slack off in my practical things, like empathy and just practical examinations or practical classes. Like, we have something called primary care skills. I kind of it's like, whatever, I'll study for that the day before, because it's something that comes easy. It's something that I know naturally. I'm an empathetic person. Naturally, I want to know what is going on with my patient. Naturally, those are things that naturally, I want to know. But there are things that I will just kind of just stuff in my head and just memorize and be like, all right, there it is for the exam. And yeah, I would do good on it. But you ask me next week, how do you test the supraspinatus muscle? I'm gonna be like, is it the full cant or the empty cant? And that's one thing I realized, and I noticed that, just talking to that guy, I realized that just because it comes easy doesn't mean I don't have to put in the effort. And it was definitely an eye opener, and I felt like, you know, in a situation like that, something definitely came out of it. Unfortunately, my car had to be the catalyst for that, but nonetheless, it was good knowing that I was able to encourage someone and minister to them, and at the same time, having a complete stranger unknowingly reveal certain things that I kind of felt like, okay, man, Tashina, you definitely need to get it together. But that was an experience, and everything happens for a reason. That's one thing I'm definitely learning, and we may not understand it, and I know I don't understand it, but I'm pretty sure in some years or days or weeks, months, who knows, God will reveal it to me. But nonetheless, I am grateful. I know my car is hit and I don't have a vehicle right now, but I do believe that there is a blessing in disguise, and everything happens for a reason. I can't let it put a damper on my day. I can't let it put a damper on my semester. I can't let it put a damper on me and allow it to stop me from doing what it is that I need to do. So I just say that to say, stay encouraged, and just know that everything happens for a reason. Don't ever doubt, don't ever question God. In spite of, thank Him. Just in spite of, because you never know why something happened. You never know. God could have been preventing something. He could have been, it's so many reasons. You just never know. And I'm thankful, and I thank God. I thank God He let that man take my car and hit it, because I don't know what could have happened the next day. I don't know if somebody could have hit me. I don't know if my, you know, I don't know. I don't know if my transmission could have given out on me and I could have hit something. You know, you don't know, and everything happens for a reason. And I am grateful. But that's all. I just said that to say, you know, be encouraged. Don't ever get down by your circumstances, because in the end, God has complete and full control. You just gotta allow Him to do what He does, and don't stand in the way. Don't stand in the way of yourself, and don't stand in the way of what God can do in your life. But God bless. Friends, family, strangers. But anyway, I love you, fam.